Okay, so I'm live with Rust today. I'm going to keep on covering Rust here, and I'm going to get right into it. So let's go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. Perfect. So really, the last stuff that I was covering got into a little bit more of like being a real programmer. Things that you would do on a day-to-day basis with Rust. And so I'm going to dive back into it and keep going here. So if I go to Rust, go 52 weeks of Rust, I'll launch my GitHub code space from last time. I think I'm at Enums, if I remember correctly. While that's spinning up, I'll go ahead and go to the Rust documentation here and check out where I'm at. So I think I already covered ownership and structs, and now we're on enums. And just to talk about it real quick here, in this chapter, in the official documentation, their way of making variants, and in particular here, we can see like what they look like. So structs give you a way of grouping, related things together, like a rectangle, circle, triangle, that kind of stuff, IP address. And so you can see this concept right here, like enum, IP address, kind, and then you could actually make instances of that. So let's try that out. Let's go in here. Let me open up terminal, get into this. I guess I could do the same thing I've been doing, which is get history, grep cargo, and we'll do cargo new, right? This is where the history stuff is pretty handy because you can be lazy and we can say enums. There we go. And we'll call this 7, EP7. There you go. So I got a new project structure here. And then I can close out my old stuff and go into the new stuff, go to the source. And we got the hello world. So if I say cargo run, right, it'll run it, the hello world. But what I really want to do is change this to use some of this enum stuff. So let's copy this. There we go. We saw hello world's working. So let's do this. Let's say enum here. Let's see here. Routes. What do we got here? Okay. So if we look at the example that I was showing earlier, that basically it's a collection of the IPv4, IPv6. Rust always requires a main, or else you get those weird errors, which I've gotten before. And then we create a immutable variable here that is able to use that enum, right? So this makes an instance of it. And then at that point, you could use a function that accepts an IP kind and then is able to actually do something with it. So if I go ahead and run it, see that in fact unused variable IP kind, because nothing's happened with it yet. And if you call this, you can see that either variant is able to be used. And so one of the advantages here to enums is that it can do more things. So I don't know yet with Rust what they can do, but it says we don't have to store the IP address data. We only know what kind it is. So you might be tempted to do structs. And here's an example of using that. And so we've defined a struct. Keep going here. However, representing the same concept here. Oh, let's see here. So somebody wants to see the screen. Let's see if I can get this. Hopefully that's working for people. But basically, the struct here is at least what they're saying is that there could be a better way to do it. And so if we look at this example here, the same concept using an enum is more concise. So I guess it's just there's less code here. So I see. If we go here and we say let home, let loop back. So let's copy this example and let's take a look at this. So if I just throw this inside, we can see we got the enum right here. We say let home, IP address, v4, v6. I mean, that definitely looks pretty clean. I mean, it almost looks like a Python function here. And I guess we're not doing anything with these. And so I would, if I wanted to print this out, I could, or if I wanted to use the variable, we could do that. Which is no. So this is what's pretty cool here, is that because I'm using the GitHub Copilot, look, it even writes the code for me, which is pretty awesome. I could see how that could get lazy, but let's try it out. Oh, I see. Well, in this case, it was wrong though. Let's see. That's interesting that it gave me a wrong format actually. And I'd have to go back to the print documentation here and take a look at this. But yeah, let's see on my end. So basically, let's see here if they have a print example. They don't really have. I mean, I guess I could Google this. I could just say prints enum Rust. Let's see how they would. Is there a way to print it? Oh, I guess it's a common issue. Huh. So I guess it doesn't appear to be the case. Well, I can put that as a comment in here. A little comment here and just say there. And what do they tell me to do? You say derive. Oh, I see. So you have to put a debug at the beginning. Whoa, okay. That's pretty cool. So if I did this, then first I would use my let's put the debug statement here, and then I'm going to try to use the Copilot again. Let's see if this will work. I'll go run. Bug is not implemented for main. Oh, do I need to put it above? Oh, I have to put it above the actual enum itself, not above the main function, which is pretty cool. So here we go. Now, if I run it, ooh, there we go. Man, this is cool. So, like, basically, what I think is really interesting about doing the Copilot is when you're new to a language, like in this case with Rust, I know nothing. I mean, I'm absolutely worthless at it. That the Copilot is huge help because it basically helps me figure out what to type. Now, I am curious if I just took this away and I started to do debug, would it actually do that? Let's see. What do I need to do? Let's say I put in this. Let's do this. Is it smart enough? No, doesn't. Oh, there we go. Let's see. Is that the exact statement? Derive. Wow. Yeah, this is pretty cool here. So if I do this, and I do a hashtag, it automatically gives me the concept that, hey, you probably want to debug this code. And then if I go through here, it'll finish. So wow, for learning a language, I think the Copilot is just amazing. I mean, truly amazing stuff here. And I mean, I guess this is an important enough concept that what I should do is just verify and show how people can use it. So if we say GitHub Copilot code spaces, let's double check. So using GitHub Copilot and code spaces, which is what we're doing. So you can use Copilot and code spaces by adding the extension. I see. To use it. Now, what I don't know though, is it free if you're using, I'm assuming it's free if you're using GitHub code spaces. So I'll put this as well in the documentation here because I think this is a secret weapon. I think this is definitely a secret weapon in that uh, it's just a huge win for someone that's new to the language. And I'll go ahead and say get status here, and we'll go ahead and add this. So I'll change directories up here. You get add enums, commit this, say adding enum example with Copilot integration, which is a huge win, huge win. I would say, well, I'm probably checking in bad. I'm checking in binaries, which is not good. I'll have to fix that later because I need to add a get ignore every time I create a new directory. But I just out of curiosity, if I go to extensions, aha, there we go. We see that I've got GitHub Copilot. So, oh, reload required. Interesting. Well, let's do it. We'll reload this. But I think it's an interesting thing to point out if you're new to Python, you're new to Rust, you're new to whatever language, and you're not using Copilot. That's probably a bad idea. And let's take a look. Maybe one last thing here. Which languages are supported here? Do they have, let's see, overview of Copilot, getting started. Here we go, getting started in Copilot, overview of Copilot, about Copilot. Yeah, I'm just curious if I have a list of all the different languages for Copilot. Okay, we install it, we see it. I mean, Copilot languages. How many languages do they actually support? Huh. GitHub Copilot, which languages? I want to see if which languages. Okay, there's a list here. Here we go. So Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, Ruby, Go, C#, C++. It can also generate suggestions in other languages. But it's powered. It's a new AI system created by OpenAI. So I have played around with some of that with OpenAI, but it's interesting how I'm using Rust, which doesn't show as like an optimized language here, but it's still working. So kind of a shorter lesson today, but I would say one takeaway that I'm discovering, I guess, with Rust is that if you can use GitHub Codespaces plus GitHub Copilot, I think it's a huge win, so that you're actually able to get feedback from essentially AI that tells you what code to write. And for me, who's still very new at this is a great win. So next week, I'm going to go down to match and control flow because I only did a little bit today, and we did enum, but I'll do match next week. So see you next week.